Ellis Auditorium, Memphis, Tennessee, March 22, 1970. In one of Memphis's most intimate venues, Elvis Presley was doing a homecoming show for 1,500 fans. William Bill Jackson, a 67-year-old janitor, entered the stage with a mop and bucket during a song break in the middle of the performance. A tiny water bottle spill had occurred and the stage. Bill was instructed by the manager to clean it before someone slipped. In an effort to avoid interfering with the performance, Bill moved swiftly and silently. He had no idea what would come next. When Elvis saw him, he halted what he was doing and reminded everyone in the auditorium of what real class looks like. This is the tale of a time when the rock and roll king demonstrated that genuine royalty is all about how you treat others, not about how famous you are. On March 22, 1970, Elvis returned to Memphis for a run of more intimate, smaller shows. Elvis intended to perform in the place where his career had started in order to re-establish a connection with his roots after years of touring big arenas and showrooms in Vegas. There were just 1,500 seats available at the Ellis Auditorium, a small portion of his typical audience. However, Elvis desired that closeness. He could sense their excitement in a way that was not possible at a stadium with 50,000 people because these were his people, his hometown crowd. For 42 years, Bill Jackson had been employed at Ellis Auditorium. He began sweeping floors and emptying trash cans as a young guy in 1928. Throughout the years, he had risen to the position of chief janitor, where he was in charge of the facility's upkeep. Bill had witnessed every well-known performer to visit Memphis. In all those years, he had cleaned up after rock and roll pioneers, jazz greats and country stars, but he had never once taken the stage during a performance. His world wasn't like that. His world was in the background, ensuring that everything was secure and hygienic. The stars would be able to shine. Bill worked the Elvis concert tonight as he did every other show, effectively, covertly, and with pride in his work. He was positioned backstage, prepared to deal with any problems that might come up. A stagehand had unintentionally tipped over a water bottle during one of Elvis Presley's high-energy performances around an hour into the show. Just where Elvis would be walking for his next song, the stage surface became slick due to the water spreading across it. The stage manager waved wildly at Bill, terrified of the liability. "Before Elvis slips, we must wipe that." Bill went onto the stage after grabbing his bucket and mop. During rehearsals, he performed this 1,000 times, and sound checks, but never in the course of a live performance. He moved to the back of the stage, where the spill was, remained low, and started mopping rapidly. After finishing a song, Elvis was using a towel to wipe his face and regain his breath while discussing the following song with the band. Bill worked as quickly as he could while attempting to blend in and avoid interfering with the performance's magic. Elvis, however, saw him. How was he not able to? During his show, this old black man in a janitor's suit was cleaning the stage. Elvis approached Bill's workspace. Bill was too busy cleaning the water to see Elvis coming until he heard that well-known voice close to him. "Greetings, friend. What's your name?" Startled, Bill looked up. He was confronted by Elvis Presley. "I apologize, sir. Just wiping up the spill. I'll be finished shortly." Elvis gave a kind smile. "I didn't inquire about your activities. I wanted to know your name." Bill sat up as straight as his deteriorating back would permit. "Everyone calls me Bill, but my name is William Jackson, sir." Elvis held out his hand. "Bill, nice to meet you. My name is Elvis." Even though he was shocked, Bill couldn't help but grin at the ridiculousness. "Mr. Presley, I am aware of who you are." Elvis chuckled. "That's good then. I don't have to introduce myself." "Bill, how long have you been employed here?" Bill gave the stage manager a tense look, who was indicating that he should hurry and get out. 42 years, sir. Since 1928. Elvis's eyebrows raised. 42 years? That is amazing. Everything that has occurred on this stage has been witnessed by you. Bill gave a nod. Yes, sir. I've cleaned up after the best of them. Elvis put his hand on Bill's shoulder. Bill, you know what? I think the folks out there should know about you. Is that acceptable? Bill looked confused and a little frightened. Sir, I'm just the janitor. They don't need to know about me. I should get off your stage. Elvis shook his head. First of all, this isn't my stage. This is your stage. You've been taking care of it for 42 years. Second, these people came to see a show, and I think you're part of that show. Come on. Elvis gently took Bill's arm and walked him to the front of the stage where the audience could see them clearly. The crowd had been watching this interaction with growing curiosity. Who was this man Elvis was talking to? Why had the concert stopped? Elvis spoke into the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to someone very important. This is Mr. William Jackson. Bill has worked here at Ellis Auditorium for 42 years. 42 years. That means Bill was cleaning these floors before I was even born. He's seen every great performer who's come through Memphis. Count Basie, Louis Armstrong, Hank Williams, all of them. Bill has been here taking care of this place, making sure it's clean and safe and beautiful for performers and audiences alike. The crowd began to applaud. Bill stood next to Elvis, holding his mop, looking completely overwhelmed. Elvis continued, Now I'm just passing through. I'll do my show tonight and I'll leave. But Bill is a constant. He's the real backbone of this place, and I think he deserves some recognition. The applause grew louder. Bill's face showed a mixture of emotions. Embarrassment, pride, gratitude, and something close to tears. Elvis turned to Bill. Bill, is there anything you'd like to say to these folks? Bill, who'd spent 4 decades being invisible, cleaning quietly while others performed, found himself standing in front of 1,500 people. He cleared his throat. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming to our auditorium, and thank you, Mr. Presley, for this moment. I never expected, I never thought. His voice caught. Elvis put his arm around Bill's shoulders. You don't have to thank me, Bill. Thank you for 42 years of service. Thank you for taking care of this place. Thank you for being the kind of person who takes pride in their work, no matter what that work is. The audience gave Bill a standing ovation. 1,500 people on their feet, applauding a 67-year-old janitor who'd spent his life in the background. Bill wiped his eyes with his free hand, the other still holding the mop like an anchor to reality. After a long moment, Elvis walked Bill back toward the wings. Before Bill could leave the stage, Elvis stopped him. Wait here 1 second. Elvis walked to his dressing room off stage and returned with something in his hand. It was one of his signature scarves, the kind he usually gave to fans in the audience, but this one was different. It was made of silk with gold embroidery, clearly one of his favorites. Elvis draped it around Bill's neck. This is for you. For 42 years of making sure people like me can do what we do. You're the foundation, Bill. Never forget that. Bill touched the scarf with trembling hands. Mr. Presley, this is too much. I can't. Elvis shook his head firmly. Yes, you can, and you will. Every time you look at it, I want you to remember that your work matters. That you matter. Bill pulled Elvis into a hug, and Elvis hugged him back genuinely and warmly. The audience, still watching, erupted in applause again. When Bill finally left the stage, he was smiling through tears, clutching the scarf, his mop and bucket temporarily forgotten. Elvis returned to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what Memphis is about. That's what this city taught me. Everybody matters. The janitor matters as much as the performer. The person cleaning the floors matters as much as the person singing on them. Don't ever forget that. The concert continued, but something had shifted. The energy was different, warmer, more connected. Elvis performed with even more passion, and the audience responded with even more love. What had started as a simple homecoming concert had become something deeper, a reminder about dignity, respect, and the value of every person, regardless of their job or status. After the concert, backstage, Bill sat in a chair, still holding the scarf. Other venue workers came by to congratulate him, to share in his moment. Some of them had tears in their eyes. They'd spent careers being invisible, too. And seeing one of their own honored like that meant everything. Elvis's road manager, Joe Esposito, found Bill and said, "Mr. Jackson, Elvis wanted me to give you this." He handed Bill an envelope. Inside was $500 in cash and a note in Elvis's handwriting. "Bill, thank you for 42 years of dedication. Use this for something that makes you happy. You've earned it. Your friend, Elvis." Bill stared at the money and the note. For him, $500 was more than a month's pay. It was incredibly giving. The message that said, "Your friend, Elvis, the king of rock and roll," considered him a friend, however, had much greater significance. The working-ass community in Memphis rapidly became aware of what had transpired that evening. Everyone who worked behind the scenes in different venues, including janitors, maintenance personnel, kitchen staff, and others, heard about Bill's time on stage with Elvis. It made them feel proud and served as a reminder that they were important, that their work was valuable, and that they were dignified. Bill retired at the age of 72 after 5 more years of employment at Ellis Auditorium. He kept the message from Elvis and the scarf in a frame on the wall of his living room. When others came to his house, they would notice it and inquire about the story. Bill would say it in a humble way, emphasizing Elvis's generosity over his own celebrity moment. He was not required to. Bill would say that. He could have simply left me to clean up the mess. But he noticed me, Mr. Presley. I was more than simply the janitor to him. He was the type of man who did that. 2 years after Elvis Presley's death, in 1979, Bill passed away at the age of 76. His family discovered thorough journals he had maintained during his professional life. The longest entry he had ever written was from March 22, 1970. "Something unexpected happened to me tonight. In front of 1,500 people, Elvis Presley paused his performance to pay tribute to me. He handed me money and a scarf, but that was all he gave me. In reality, he gave me honor. He demonstrated to me and everyone else that I mattered and that my 42 years of labor did. I have spent my entire life mopping stages and cleaning floors, and I have always taken pride in my work. However, someone famous and wealthy told the world tonight that I was valued and that my work was valuable. This night will always be in my memory. Not because I was performing with Elvis Presley, but only because I was noticed and told I was important." When Bill went away, his friends, co-workers, and co-workers at Ellis Auditorium asked that his memorial ceremony be conducted there. The administration of the venue consented, and Bill's funeral took place on the same platform where Elvis had paid tribute to him 9 years prior. In the course of the service, there was not a dry eye in the room as someone read the entry from Bill's journal. Memphis mythology now includes the Elvis and Bill story, told and retold in working-class communities, in cafeterias and break rooms everywhere individuals worked jobs that were frequently disregarded by society. It served as a reminder that everyone deserves respect, that all jobs have dignity, and how you treat those who are powerless to help you reveals your actual nature. Bill's old bucket and mop were discovered in a maintenance closet during renovations at the Ellis Auditorium years later. A long-standing employee who had known Bill stepped in when someone suggested throwing them out. No, Bill Jackson owned those. To pay tribute to the man who utilized these, Elvis Presley halted a performance. They should be protected. With a plaque that says, "The Mop and Bucket of William Bill Jackson, Janitor at Ellis Auditorium for 42 years," the mop and bucket were donated to the Memphis Music Hall of Fame and are now on display. On March 22, 1970, Elvis Presley halted his performance in observance of Bill's decades of service. Serve as a reminder that everyone, regardless of status, deserves honor when they labor with pride. There was no condescension or altruism involved when Elvis brought Bill Jackson into the spotlight. It has to do with recognition. Acknowledgement that the stage cleaner plays just as much of a role in the performance as the actor. Recognition that 42 years of honest work deserves acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that all people are valuable and deserving of respect, regardless of their position or rank. Elvis had worked manual labor jobs, been poor as a child in Mississippi, and experienced what it was like to be underappreciated and ignored. He never lost sight of his origins or the fact that his success and notoriety did not elevate him above anybody else. Elvis did more than pay tribute to Bill Jackson that evening in Memphis. He paid tribute to all employees who have ever felt invisible, including janitors and maintenance personnel, and the unseen worker who keeps the world turning but is hardly acknowledged for it. And in doing so, Elvis revealed the truth means to rule as a king, not making a decision people, but raising them.